Welcome back, everybody. Urban Farmer, we've got another episode for you. I hope you all enjoyed the Cannabis Cup 2015 videos. A lot of great products, a lot of great innovators, attention to detail, and people that really care. We have a very special guest with us today, along the same lines of the attention to detail and the innovation that you saw at the Cannabis Cup. We have Mr. Tight with the Homegrown Report. He's instructed many people, including Urban Farmer. The basics all the way to the advanced styles of growing. This man has proven time and time again that you don't have to be a millionaire to get into this industry, that all it takes is passion and know-how and a little bit of elbow grease and a little bit of attention to detail, keeping things tight, and his product speaks for itself. How you doing, Mr. Tight?
I'm doing great, man. I'm great to be in Denver again, another year, another cup.
I love this city. I love the city. Denver's really been great. The High Times has really done a fantastic job. They did a great job last year. Class production, really accommodating.
They're getting better at it. They still got some stuff they need to work out, but it's better.
What are some of the things you think that High Times did a great job with in terms of setting the cup up?
Probably it seemed like they got people in a little bit more efficient this year. You know, we waited an hour last year probably to get in the cup as a VIP. This year, it was within minutes. They got us in. It seemed like they had it more organized and stuff like that.
Yeah, even in the regular day ticket line.
Yeah.
They actually got us in a little bit earlier too, and they staged us inside. It wasn't in the cold.
It was nice they thought of us because it was cold out and they brought us in.
Yeah, it was
thinking that we're helping you guys out to stay a little bit warmer. They said don't smoke, and what do? We smoked inside there. We got yelled at, but they let us in anyway. So.
Well, it's always important to follow the rules, and when they came and told us to stop smoking, we stopped.
Some did. Some
did.
Some didn't care.
Some didn't care. I'm glad to have you on the show today. I know the subscribers of Urban Farmer are really going to enjoy getting to know you a little bit better. How long have you been posting videos on YouTube?
Man, it had to be since its second or first year of YouTube. Like, it was just in its infancy. I heard about it and thought it was pretty cool that people could make their own channel about themselves. And I never thought like I'd make my own, but I always thought it was a cool concept. And I think I started off as a weed smoker, just posting pictures on another website, the Weed Report. And just from there, I said one day maybe I'll make some videos. They said you should. You got a nice garden. I like your pictures. So it started from there and progressed, and people just kept giving good comments, and that kind of drove me to make more videos, And then started sharing how I did it, mainly showing my techniques, ideas, ways of doing things. Basically taking a question, a grow question, and turning it into a video for someone. Better than just trying to type it back to them, give them a visual,
Exactly. There are tons of people out there that grow cannabis medically and have the intent of helping the patients, but not everybody. There's a select few of us that actually document the work on YouTube. What about doing the extra work, which doesn't reward a whole lot when you think about it? What motivates you to put in that extra work to show off your garden that so many feel they need to keep private? What is your motivation behind showing the world your secrets and putting yourself?
Sometimes I ask myself, why do I keep doing this? I really don't know. Something inside me just drives me. I have no idea what the answer is. I like to help the people. I like to hear the results they get back. I like to teach them how to fish so they can eat forever. It's a good feeling. It helps them out like that, I guess you could say.
How do you think being a two-part question? First, how do you think being a father affects the way a man tends his garden, and how do you think a man that tends a garden has an effect on being a father?
That's a tough one. You got to time out your family time with your garden time for sure, especially when you get a garden that's too big and you got to devote too many hours to it. You usually got to do it on the night shift so you can spend time with the family, put the kids to bed at 8 o'clock, then go do your work after hours. That's pretty cool. You actually get some nice time to yourself then as a dad. During the day you could be crazy with the kids, and at night you got your garden to go home to, relax, take a breath, be to yourself. They don't talk back to you. Your wife might all day long, but the plants don't. So it's nice to do that. Cool. I figured it out right away when I had the kids. I'm like, this is my haven to come home to, because it's stressful during the daytime with the kids.
Exactly. Has having a garden and the cultivation influence in your life had any kind of effect on your family in the household?
My wife's pretty used to it. She really don't even want to know much about it. She's like, you do your thing. I don't even care what you do. That's your thing. I know that's what makes you happy. She don't have an interest in it, so It doesn't really affect them too much because I try to keep them out of it and keep it to myself. Other than that, it doesn't really affect them too much.
Sure. As many of the urban farmers remember, one of my favorite Mr. Tight series was the Poor Man's Grow.
Very popular series.
Very popular series indeed. It really showed there's a mentality out there, I think, with new growers, myself included, that you have to have a warehouse, all this equipment, a scientific lab, a bunch of horticulturalists, money, that's growing on a tree to do this. It seemed sort of like an insurmountable task to even get into the business, even if you did have a passion behind it to help people. And you kind of introduced, the concept of the poor man's grow, and God knows how many people had that light bulb go off in their head that said, "Hey,
I can do this because it's so simple.
I can do this because it's so simple." And there is an effect of that if people are growing in their house for the first time ever, they may not be feeling uncomfortable out on the streets dealing with, somebody they don't know getting their cannabis. There's a safety aspect.
Main reason why I started too. Got tired of dealing with people that trying to sell you crap to give you the runaround. It takes you all day long to hook up with a decent bag, and you feel like crap after you smoke the whole thing because it's not good quality. You got to smoke a lot more, and the quality is just not that great. So I said I can do this, So I gave it a go and did some research on Google, which you guys should learn how to use, because it'll have all the answers for you if you just know what to type in. That's how I learned everything. I watched videos and they taught me. I just copied and then went along and kind of adapted my own likings and style. Whatever worked, I kept doing it. What didn't work, I stopped doing it. Kept it simple for the poor man. Most people start off as a poor man style. They get their first little cheap light, put it above one single plant in the closet, maybe put a fan on it, and that's poor man style, And then you evolve from there. I think that's what most people do. That's how most people have started it, from what I've heard. Right, guys?
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Myself included. I had no idea that cultivating my own cannabis was even possible until I typed in grow cannabis in YouTube, and this guy, Mr. Tight, came up and said, you can take a CFL bulb or some T5s and flower out your cannabis in a little closet space area.
Yep.
And that really got the ball rolling. And watching you go through, the diversification of all the different techniques, some of the techniques you've innovated on your own, and it's all been contained. It hasn't been blown out of proportion. It hasn't taken over your whole entire house.
Not yet, anyway.
That's right.
My wife won't allow it to, and I only have so many corners I can make it into grow space. I'm running out of space. My garage is full. I have no room to put anything out there. Plus, my climate out there isn't very good for growing. So I'm stuck with what I got right now. It's pretty much maxed out.
But nevertheless, you prove that you can do it at the highest level with what you got. You can take the time to research, and you can avoid having to put yourself in the uncomfortable situations of meeting somebody or leaving your house and traveling with the cannabis. There's a lot of people that don't even like to do that.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
The point is, because of your idea that you had, maybe you had a passion for teaching. God knows how many people that you took off the streets, or within, how many people you took out of that uncomfortable environment, and possibly even increased the quality of the product they're working with in the first place.
I've heard feedback about that. A lot of people have said, "Thank you. You got me off the dealer. I don't have to go to a shady person that want to drive around all day long and get subpar quality stuff."
Unfortunately,
especially the sick people. There's people that actually have actual medical issues. Cancer, stuff like that. Stuff they need pain management for. So they're able to get relief that way by doing it themselves. It makes them feel good about themselves too. Takes them out the depression by doing something physically and doing something for themselves. Gives them pride. Give them something to live for, basically.
Absolutely.
A lot of them has changed their life to the point where they didn't want to live sometimes, some of them told me. And now that they can grow their own, they think differently about life. They look at things different.
Yeah.
It gives them a will to want to see tomorrow, I guess. It's crazy that just a simple video about how to grow some pot could do that for someone. I guess that kind of gets you motivated to keep going too.
And I think that with the cannabis plant in particular, there's a whole market out there because of that plant in particular that has gotten into horticulture. I can be honest and say that I don't really have the same sting about growing vegetables than I would about growing cannabis.
Yeah, me neither, because I don't eat vegetables.
So
I like to grow them. They're pretty and they're fun.
you should eat your vegetables, Mr.
They're
Tide.
very good for a hobby to grow on the side in the summertime. Sometimes I do it just for the heck of it, and I let my wife eat and her friends eat them and stuff. Just do it for them, you know.
Yeah. As healing as the cannabis plant is, the practice of horticulture has its own set of therapeutic properties as well.
I found that out just doing it, you know. It's relaxing. So it's got things that you
encourage everybody to get into that.
Yes, definitely.
What are some of the growing techniques, for example, your LST tie-down method with the plant markers? What are some of the techniques that you've innovated over the years of?
Well, just like you said, the plant marker tie-down method. I was in my grow shop one day and it clicked to me because they had these plastic plant markers, and something told me that I could put a notch in them on each side and almost make them like a hook, and then that could be used to just tie something down and get your plants to push out a little easier. I was using pipe cleaners, drilling holes in the side of the buckets. It's kind of an extra step. So if I just take these plant markers, I bet I could do something out of that. You kind of like put your mind frame in, like, if what would MacGyver do if he was a grower and he had like, he was in the garage and had nothing to hang his lights with but, like, you know, a piece of twine and an extension cord and something else like that. He would probably put them together somehow and use it. So whenever you run into a problem, you think kind of that. I try to think that way. What do I have in the house I can make use and make it work for me? So that's where that idea came from.
Awesome.
I shock myself when I come up with that crap. I'm like, it looks ghetto, but man, is it working? You know, it's doing the job, getting it done.
Very resourceful. You've always been
resourceful.
Very creative and resourcul individual when it comes to
It may look silly, but it works.
Hey, it works, and like you always say, you can't argue with your results.
Oh, no. Some try to. They still try, but it is what it is.
Well, you know, along those lines, I do want to point out that you're very good with the negative side of the feedback.
There's different ways to answer people. You can be mad at them and just attack them back, and there's also a nice way to be constructive in their criticism and almost make them realize that maybe they were being a jerk the way they commented or whatever, or maybe they just had the wrong way of coming at me sometimes. I've had many people apologize to me and say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that to you, and you're right, and I'm an asshole. I didn't mean to be a dick on your channel, I'm sorry. Like, that's awesome that you can get someone to think twice about how they reacted. Or
cannabis and the industry and growing itself, it's a very passionate.
Yes, super passionate. People have so much convictions and stuff and what they believe and what their friend told them, so they think they know everything.
Yeah, there's more than one ways to grow cannabis, and when you mix the passion elements in with that, it can create some debates, which is good. Ultimately, we're all on the same team. That's why we do this. That's why we throw up the videos. That's why gentlemen like Mr. Tite go out of their way and take time out of their day to videotape their secrets, their methods, and put it freely on YouTube for the world to see, without charge. So I think that's a very noble thing that you do.
I think at one time I thought if I'd make videos, I'd stop getting the questions. All I did was make it worse. You got a lot more questions, and it just keeps snowballing from there, and it's where it is now.
How much have you grown from the reverse end of the connection with your subscribers? How have your subscribers educated you in the process of...
There's guys that know lots more than I do, and they'll tell me, like, hey, I suggest this, why don't you try this or look into this? Sometimes I will. Sometimes it's not for me, that technique that they're suggesting, but I do give it a try and think about it. Sometimes down the road I'll adapt to that in one way or another that I can use it, find different cues I can pull out of different techniques and put to use in my garden. Sometimes. We can all learn from each other because there's a million ways that we all grow.
Yeah, there's many ways to
I probably learned from everybody that's grown here and made a video. I probably took something from it or had a plan or an idea from it, even though you guys don't know you're doing that for me. I steal from you guys too sometimes.
I want to ask you about a very important, very integral member of the Mr. Tite growing operation. How did you partner up with Sophie the cat?
She just came about one Saturday morning. We were out for breakfast at Denny's, getting some breakfast, and had to stop off at PetSmart for some food for my other two cats I got. And they had some kittens there for adoption, and for years I was looking for a Maine Coon, and I seen her all the way across the the store, sitting in a little cage, leaning up against the litter box, just leaning, like chilling like this. I'm like, man, that's a cool cat. She's just leaning against stuff. And she had her brothers and sisters in there, and they were jumping around, playing and biting each other. But she was the cool, laid back one that looked like she didn't want to be bothered. She's just chilling against the litter box. And so she was beautiful, and I wanted a Maine Coon. So I said, she's coming home with me. So we put her in the box, paid the adoption fee, and one of the store employees came up and said, oh, what'd you guys get today? So he's looking in the box. We open it up, he looks at it, he goes, oh, Sophie Cat. Me and my wife looked at each other, but you know what? That's a great name for that cat. That's her name now. So Sophie Cat works. So
Right.
she's Sophie.
Awesome.
She's awesome.
How long have you been married?
5 years now. Damn, it's going. Time's going by fast. I had to think about that. Has it been that long already? 2010, I think I got married. August 2010.
With Mr. Tight and the Homegrown Report continuously discovering new ways to grow, new innovations, is there any chance that we could see Mr. Tight hydroponics?
That's probably one of the more common questions I get a lot too. I always say no. I don't have an interest in it. I see it as a more fancy way to water your plants. I have good results using soil. I'm comfortable with it. I'm happy, so I don't want to go buy more equipment and try to start all over is what I would feel like I was doing. Learning a whole new technique. Probably make some mistakes along the way and get aggravated, and I don't want to do that. So continue doing what I'm doing for now. I might, dabble with something in the future, but I don't know what it is yet. And that day may come. I never know when it will. I can't say no, but I will say right now I'm not thinking about hydroponics.
Absolutely.
I can never say no for me. You never know. Something might come along that's new to the industry, that's cool looking, or new technology that's hydroponic related. I say, oh, I'm going to try it now. Right now, it's just not into it too much.
It is definitely a load of work.
That's what I see. I mean, they're always draining water all the freaking time. Like, God, I don't want to have water all over the freaking place and having to do buckets and every couple weeks and the pHing constantly every day. And I'm like, I want to be simple, poor man style. That's where I started with the roots. Yeah, I just kind of evolved and then we got a little fancier with better equipment here and there, but the basis is still there with your basics. Stick to the simple stuff, keep it
Absolutely,
simple best
absolutely.
you can.
You've got a few years under your belt, especially on YouTube. Do you ever go back to your original YouTube videos and watch yourself and say, what the fuck was I doing?
No, I've never said what the fuck was I doing. I always say, wow, I've progressed and look at how much better it's gotten. And wow, look how fast I did that. And it's amazing. I forget sometimes what it was when I first started. And I'm shocked at myself sometimes, I have to admit. Yeah, it's cool.
You were growing with HPS as the main flowering light for the first couple seasons, and you started to get into LEDs. You've ran the Mars Hydro, and you've ran a UFO.
Yep.
Was that a Grow Blue?
Grow Blue UFO, yeah.
And you've ran some other Grow Blue series lighting.
I've just about every one they sell at one time anyway. Just about all I ran. Then they started adding more, and I couldn't keep up. So that's where I'm at now, trying to test the new stuff that's coming out now.
It's a huge debate between LEDs and HPS.
Tell me about it. I'll open that can of worms on this video. That's a whole separate video right there.
Urban Farmer has only flowered with HPS. We've vegged out with all kinds of LEDs.
Yeah, they work great for that.
If you were to, in a nutshell, because it's such a huge debate, if you were to pick out maybe one or two obvious, hello properties of HPS versus LEDs of the two styles of light, what would they be? Just, obvious, stick
Obvious
out.
is the simplicity of an LED setup. No ducting, but you still have to worry about your heating. So that's, people don't usually think about that part. They think, oh, LED runs cool. They give off heat, they radiate heat, especially in a tent, a small confined space. You got to consider that. So not all models run the coolest, so it does matter what brand you're looking at. As far as outcome comes in yield, I found pretty much similar results all across the board no matter what brand I use. I don't know if it has to do with what techniques I'm using, so I can pretty much guarantee a certain outcome based on that. Because the light source is just the only thing that's really changed. I usually use my same techniques all the time. So still trying to figure that out, if there's really a difference in the price you pay. Should you pay more? Should you buy a better one? You got to look at your warranties and things like that, but other than that, they're pretty much functioning the same as far as I'm seeing, But I actually would like to fall back to HPS no matter what. It's always my bread and butter. I still believe in it more so. It's the best flowering light. For LEDs, I like them for veg. I think they do great for that. I'm able to cut back on my power over CFLs, or T5s rather, and get the same results in veg by using less power. And flower, on the other hand, 600 watts of LED doesn't seem to really equal 600 watts of HPS. It just doesn't seem to be comparable. I get better results with my HPS overall, I think. Weight-wise, yield. Trichome coverage would be similar, actually, and you get a better smell with an LED grow often, I found. So there's perks, there's good, there's bad. You know, it's not for everyone, an LED. You know, some people better off in an HPS. Some people have those little small gardens, they need the little lights that don't give off heat and stuff like that. So,
it's all about what works for you in your particular setup.
yeah, there's no one way that works for everybody. You know, it's just impossible to make one piece fit 20 different parts, or, 20 different options. It doesn't work that way. So,
What would you say is the hardest part about growing?
hardest part, right. Being patient. That's for sure. You got to be patient. People try to rush it in the beginning, thinking, "Is there a quick way to get this flower out? Can I do it in 7 weeks instead of 9?" You just got to be patient, and I guess it's one of the hardest things you'll learn too. I used to sit in my room for 3 hours a day just watching the plants grow, thinking, "When are they going to be done?" Just excited over it. After that, you become patient to wait for it. It's just part of it. Don't try to rush nothing. Keep it simple. It'll come out good better that way.
Would you say that growing cannabis has taught you an element of patience?
Oh, for sure. My patience have increased. I've got better at it because, like I said before, I didn't have patience as well. Like, I wanted it done. And I used to ask my brother-in-law, who was a better grower than me, and he'd been doing it for years, is there any way I can cut a corner? No, but the cannabis plant is what it is. It's just going to take what it's going to need to get done. It's on a time schedule of its own. You can't rush it. You can take care of it while it's growing, and that's the best you can hope for.
Absolutely. We're going to switch gears here. And this is a really open-ended question and try to answer it to the best of your ability.
Okay.
Why does Mr. Tight use medical marijuana?
I got a lot of reasons. I can't eat, can't sleep, a little stressed out half the time. Everybody dabbles with depression. This crazy world we live in, who wouldn't? You'd be crazy if you didn't. You wouldn't be alive, I think, if you wouldn't. Half the time, be affected by everything that goes on around us. I like the effect. Hell, it's not wrong getting fucked up every now and then, right? Recreationally.
You gotta relax, gotta take the
That's
edge
part
off.
of the relaxing part. The properties you're going to get, they're going to take your depression away. Might make you want to eat later on because you're feeling better about yourself. You're out, you're being motivated, you're active all around. It's just better for the person, I think, as a whole. A person's system could operate better for me when I'm smoking cannabis all day long usually, not just once or twice in a day. I need it all day long.
Absolutely. And a lot of people use a similar explanation about why they would use alcohol or why they would use nicotine.
It probably comes off as, you sound like a druggie, but it's not like that at all. It's very hard to explain how it benefits, and just feels like it's, I don't know, like I was made to put it in my body almost. Like, it just makes me feel normal again, just a miserable person sometimes without it, to tell you the truth. I'm not even gonna lie.
Do you think that you could get the same benefit from alcohol? I noticed you're having a beer there.
I'm having a beer now, just to try to relax myself.
Absolutely.
I actually like the feeling of alcohol buzz that you get. I don't want to get drunk off it, but I like to just mellow, lay back, socially.
Right.
So.
Would you say that, actually let me rephrase that, have you ever been hungover or experienced a hangover from cannabis in the likes that alcohol?
Yes, it's very popular, the weed hangover, especially when you're doing dabs. You can wake up the next day, feel like you're hit by a truck. Very hard to get out of bed, slow motion. Mind doesn't want to get moving in the morning. It just takes a little extra time to get things moving, get the cobwebs out. So yeah, it's pretty common actually for a person who smokes a lot every day. The cannabis cup, we probably woke up every day this week with a weed hangover. Yep. I could barely get out of bed this morning, I'll tell you. It's tough.
There's a lot of people out there that say weed makes you lazy, weed makes you kind of stupid, it kills your brain cells.
It can.
My question to you is, what do you say, what is the man who had 65,000 subscribers, who works and researches and teaches tirelessly to a community that in return, you receive next to nothing. Mm-hmm. How does a man like this, what does a man like this say to weed makes you lazy, weed makes you a poor worker.
You ever checked out my channel and see the vastness of the amount of input I've given you guys? That's all done off cannabis. I've smoked every single video, the whole entire thing, all day long, and I'm still able to give you an entire channel that you guys are, you know, able to learn from. So it's a vast, huge pile of knowledge that I'm able to still do, you know. So the brain doesn't shut down on you just because you're smoking weed, you know. If anything, it might help you. Some people. It's not for everyone. It doesn't work for everybody's system, I don't think. Some people get paranoid and they can't get past that. You know, I never got that from cannabis. It was always got the effect that it mellowed me out and I felt better. Always.
Have you ever felt the urge while using cannabis to go experience other drugs? Have you ever felt
burnt, but I'm still bad.
those are good cookies, aren't they?
I had a couple the other night when I came home with the munchies.
Yeah, those are Lady Urban Farmer
Munchies,
cookies.
I give you the munchies.
They were pretty righteous then.
Yeah, they did. It's very good. Good job anyway.
Sorry, doesn't work there.
Have you experienced cannabis that has made you want to go try other drugs? Have you ever smoked cannabis and said, "Oh, I have to go try cocaine," or "I have to go do some other drug"?
That's the most ridiculous thing I ever hear. They say it's like a gateway drug to other things. Not once have I ever smoked some weed and say, "I want to go get high on some crack and do some cocaine, man." No. Simple question. A simple answer to that question.
If you were enjoying marijuana in a recreational setting and, you know, smoking with a bunch of buddies, getting rowdy, just like you would find a bunch of buddies at a bar, you know, drinking the drinks and the shots, has that setting for you ever turned violent, or have you ever seen a group of people smoking weed and it turned violent and get rowdy, sort of in the likes that you would see comparable to a bar fight or a situation like that while on alcohol?
No, the people get more loving as they sit in a group and pass that joint around the circle. They just become friendly, and you just, I mean, yeah, it happens every now and then. Some people are gonna have a fight when you're in a group of cannabis smokers, but no, it's very rare. It doesn't happen.
Have you ever heard, seen, or know anything about anybody ever dying on an overdose of cannabis?
Not in the whole history of mankind, no. Maybe they might have driven their car and were stupid, and they're not very experienced with cannabis, and they don't know how to handle a vehicle, which that happens. You know, you're new guys. You shouldn't be behind the wheel if you don't know how you're doing. That maybe they have killed themselves in that way. As far as OD, no, it can't happen. It's not possible. I think everybody knows that, though, even though they want to try to say something different about that on TV and shit.
Do you remember when you grew your first cannabis plant?
6 years old. Hard to believe. Probably, I don't know if I maybe set a world record for something like that. We used to live on a farm. My dad's a big smoker. My mom smoked along with him. All my uncles smoked. One day I remember being out in the front yard of our farm and my uncle going into our little shed, coming back out with this big old vial of seeds. And I knew what they were because I see my dad smoking around the house and that, here and there. So I'm like, what the hell's he doing with seeds and what are they doing in that shed? This is at 6 years old. I already knew this stuff. Putting two and two together. Well, I just watched everybody walk to the back of the house after they had that vial of seeds, and they proceeded to plant some seeds behind our barn. After they started to sprout up, my dad put a little bit of fence around them. He's a truck driver, mind you, so he's not in town very often. He needed someone to water them while he's out of town. And lo and behold, me and my sister became pot waterers. We watered my dad's pot plants for him. Now, mind you, he wasn't home very often, on the road a lot. So every day after school, I would go water them with gallons and gallons of water. I mean, 8 gallons a day I'd bring back there. I remember 2 hands at a time, 4 or 5 trips back and forth. By the end of summer, those things were swaying in the air and the wind, 8 foot tall, just beautiful. Had them in about a 5 foot circle, little fenced off, like rabbit cage sort of setup. And they grew right to the end. Before they got to harvest them, they vanished, they disappeared. Nobody knew what happened to them. They weren't there no more one day. My dad found out about it, but obviously flipped out. My uncles were pissed because they were all counting on that weed. They'd probably never seen no weed that looked that damn good. Because I know he never seen nothing like that before. I never seen nothing like that. I was 6 years old. I thought nothing because I figured this is normal. I'm 6, what do I know? Come to find out, we think the babysitter stole them. He never would admit to it, but my aunt worked with a person that knew him, and at about the same time frame, she had found out that he had a bunch of plants at his house he was talking about hanging in his room. Come up out of nowhere, he got these plants. So 2 and 2 together, most likely he stole our plants. They were down at his house, in his bedroom. So that's what happened to my first harvest. I'd say they got stolen as I was 6 years old. True story.
It sounds like the bar was set pretty high with you from the get-go.
I think I got the itch then. My mom always said, I don't remember telling her this, but she said I always used to tell her I wanted to be a horticulturist. That was what I used to say to her. And I just said, really? I just said I want to do that? She goes, yeah, you wanted to grow plants. And you used to tell me all the time how you liked it. So I guess that somehow, came back out of me again when I got older. One day I said, I'm going to start growing my own weed. I think I can do it, Thinking back to the time when I was 6, didn't know what the hell I was doing, and just kept watering them plants for my dad. And we joke a lot to this day. It's a family joke. Like, remember you were 6 years old growing your dad's pot plants for him? Yeah, I remember. It's kind of funny, but it's a true story.
That's awesome.
I was hoping you would ask me that question, because I like to tell that story, because people usually get a good reaction out of it. It's fun for me to tell it. It is.
While watching your videos, it's very obvious there is a heavy emphasis on orderliness and organization and attention to detail. Your name is Mr. Tight. My question is, where did you pick this up, and how did you learn to become such a orderly person? All your ducks always seem to be in a row. Everything has its place. There's never any mess. Where did you learn that, and can you talk about what that means in your garden?
Basically, that discipline came from former jobs that I've had as a chef, as a carpenter. Having to finish houses with the finished look on them, because I did vinyl siding. Everything is final on that job. And just knowing that everything had to be done just perfect at the end, it kind of carried through with the next thing that I took on, which was growing cannabis. Before the house building, I was a chef, and you got to have good tasting food or no one's really going to want to eat it. So we had to be detailed on that. Always follow along with the recipe. You start at the top, you go along step by step, read the directions, don't skip anything. Be disciplined in that respect, and just kind of train your brain to always do that no matter what you're doing in work. And it just helps out all the way around, I think. The name Mr. Tight, you probably don't know where it came from. When I was a carpenter, I had my own little business for a few years. I came up with a slogan, if it ain't tight, it ain't right, because everything had to look tight on the house as far as a visual standpoint went. And I came to work one day with that, if it ain't tight, it ain't right slogan on the back of my t-shirts for my work shirts. And somebody read it at work the first day, one of my carpenter buddies. And he says, okay, Mr. Tight, making fun of me. And from that point forward, I was Mr. Tight, And I was at the beginning stages of the Weed Report that I was on before the Dank Done. The first cannabis social network I was ever on. And you had to sign up with a name, and I didn't know what to frickin' sign up with. It was new to the internet kind of at the time. That was years ago. And I said, I don't know, I'd call me Mr. Tight at work. I'll use that name. So, lo and behold, I became Mr. Tight on the internet, and the rest is history.
Well, the name certainly fits the sort of characteristics that are involved with having that kind of discipline that you show and maintain on your channel. They don't serve well just in cannabis. It's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle. It's a way of everything you do almost. It's a process of thinking every day and everything I do. It's almost annoying sometimes, like anal, and it gets in the way of me wanting to do stuff half-assed sometimes. My mind won't allow me to do it that way. I'll stop and do it over again as many times as I need to get it to my satisfaction. Sometimes it's a pain in the ass, but that's just me, And I think that's part of my success to help me get me where I'm trying to go, in a nutshell.
Well, the success and the
I'm hoping
quality,
it takes you there. I'm hoping it helps.
It definitely does. And anybody that sees your harvest videos, one of my favorite harvest videos of yours is the slice.
Oh, everybody likes the slice. They all want to try that one. I'm sorry I don't have seeds.
Oh, one of the frostiest strains I've ever seen you grow.
They're all unique.
But it doesn't get that way unless you're growing it tight and you've got all your ducks in a row. It requires an extreme amount of discipline. You cannot be cutting corners. And this isn't something that's cannabis specific. Any business or any sort of avenue or endeavor that one is involved in is going to be average or worse unless you have a certain amount of discipline. This man is an advocate and a teacher of what it truly means to have orderliness, organization, and attention to detail. The product speaks for itself. The industry is lucky to have somebody with this mentality in the production line of things. We're definitely appreciative for the time today, Mr. Tight. You've
No
helped,
problem.
for every one of the 65,000 subscribers, there are 65 more people that are just watching the videos, that haven't subscribed to the channel, that are learning, that are appreciative. You know, God knows how many people that you've helped. You know, Urban Farmer, the knowledge base that Urban Farmer has is definitely founded upon God knows how many Mr. Tight principles and teachings over the years through the videos.
I find it so hard to believe. I cannot get it through my head that I've helped anybody. I just feel so modest about it, you know. That's just me, I guess, you know. People expect me to feel like, oh my, isn't it amazing? I don't have that reaction that the channel blew up and stuff. I hoped it would, but just thank you guys for watching, you know. That I was able to help, you know.
Well, there's an entire nation and many people outside of our nation, since YouTube is a global source of information, that are appreciative. We look forward to many great things in the future. Catch the next episode of the Homegrown Report with Mr. Tight. I'm Urban Farmer. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit that button, and you'll be the first to receive all the new updates and all the new videos that I post. Stay tuned. We got another interview coming up with Med Grower.
Peace.
Urban Farmer. Right on, man.
I had a little extra they don't know about.
Yeah, see?
See, I had it.